Let's finish it.
What are the differences in the vibe of each dugout through the different levels?
So college, obviously, it's a little more, rah-rah. Everyone's kind of pulling for each other. It definitely, especially even junior college, like you're pulling together. D1 aspect, it's definitely like it is about the name on the front. Granted, that name on the back's awfully nice too, and you definitely need to play for yourself as well. And baseball is actually a very individual sport. If you individually aren't succeeding, if all the individuals on a team are not succeeding, then the team's not succeeding. So you do have to have some sort of selfishness when you play, knowing that if I play well, my team is probably going to, other players around me will play well. And then you have to bring in that team aspect as well. So college, it is just generally more team. But at the same time, within that, you have some of your best players, or even that may have a bad attitude at times, good attitude at times, whatever, that can affect that. And it can change from game to game, at bat to bat, especially high school as well. I think the hardest thing is trying to be the same person through success and failures, whether that's the college level, junior college level, D1 level, whatever, pro level, whatever it is trying to be that same teammate when you're having success and when you're having failure.
Yeah.
And that's really difficult to do. I struggled with that. I think everyone struggled with that. And it's doing your best to, when you're failing, not turning into that toxic negative dude. And I'll be honest, that was me at times. But at other times, I was also very much the guy that it didn't matter what was going on. I was a very positive teammate. And so I think that finding that balance for everyone is like where you kind of really need to get to. And as far as teams, the teams that were best at that no matter how good or bad we were doing, we'd still kind of rally around each other. Those are the teams that won. Those are the teams that even if we didn't win as many games as maybe the year before, we were more resilient and we'd actually go further into the playoffs with a worse record. So it was kind of, that would be the best way I could describe it in a short amount of time.
Did you change from team to team? Like, obviously, you are you, right? But like your role, personality, like, did it change from team to team and adapt to the team?
As I got older, yes. When I was younger, it was more you were just trying to fit in, and you never really wanted to develop a clickiness in the clubhouse, and that always happens, always.
I don't think you can avoid that.
Yeah, no. And I think that's just human nature.
Yeah, because you're going to have your little tribes inside of your little community.
Exactly.
And then, like, obviously, when another team comes in, then your whole team rallies together. But then, like, it's weird. You have these little tribes, and then when someone attacks one of your friends, you're like, whoa, bro, you can't do that.
It's definitely like that, especially minor leagues, where it is your team, but you're only getting moved up based on how well you do, not how well the team does. Partly if the team's doing well and you're part of that reason, the better teams I play on the minors, the more of those guys got moved up. The worst teams I play on the minors, the less of those guys made it. And it sometimes wasn't a talent thing as much as it was, are you doing well? Is your team winning? When the team won, usually other players were doing well. So I tried to just fit in, kind of be a little bit of a chameleon at times.
Are you talking about in pro ball?
In pro ball, yes. College, too. College is still very much, the end goal is not just, okay, I'm going to get my degree and graduate. For most guys that go to a high D1 that I did. Most guys, when they go there, even if they're not very good, we had a couple of sidearm walk-ons throwing 78, and these guys are getting drafted by their senior year, making it to high A, double A, way further than they ever should have gone, but you never know. A couple other things go right for this kid. Maybe they get a cup of coffee in the big leagues. So, the end goal was always major leagues for me, and whatever happened. But even in college, you had to find a way to fit in. You had to find a way to, okay, this is kind of the culture. Let me somewhat...
You're trying to find your spot.
Yeah.
Because the culture's already established.
Let's already fit in. Exactly. So it may change from class to class. It may change from injury to injury. It at any point can change. And it's just always trying to find a way to get it back to where it was, and you already knew where that was going into the season, and not allowing everyone to just kind of fall down that hill. It's literally you're constantly climbing a hill, and if you just, instead of taking 5 steps back, let's just take 2. And that was kind of how the culture worked. It was, we always knew we were always going to at some point become negative. How can we stop that and get back to where we were?
That's what I find interesting with the difference between college baseball and professional baseball is that the college coach is there for a while, right? But I mean, in the minor leagues, you could have a different manager almost
every year,
every different year,
Yeah.
and it feels like it's like a clean slate for the culture. It's almost like you look to the vets. The vets are like the people that establish the culture.
Yeah, I mean, I had at least, I think going into 2018, I'd already been in 18 different clubhouses just professionally, and then there was another 2 or 3 that year with big leagues in AAA, and then the next year in AAA. So what is it? 20-ish, 21, whatever it is. So at that point, like, yes, the managers and coaches do, and definitely a more positive coach who allows you to just kind of play and just go. Just show up, play hard, work hard. Those guys usually had more successful teams. I had plenty of teams as well where screw that guy.
Yeah.
But that was also our way of kind of banding together was, let's play for each other. Let's play for ourselves and each other, and screw him. Let's prove him wrong.
Yeah.
And in some cases, you have to take that approach where it's, this coach is super negative, telling you how bad you are at the time. Just prove him wrong.
Yeah. So then the leaders end up stepping up, and then you end up going to that person.
Just prove him wrong. And sometimes with those coaches, that is their way of coaching. And that's, I think, really hard for young kids to understand. When you have a really negative coach who's constantly on you, he probably actually does really care. There's probably something that happened in his life that has made him that way. Who knows? But with those coaches I had, I look back and some of them were actually my favorite coaches because I learned to just count on myself and like the dudes around me rather than having to look to him every time to be like, what did I do wrong? Am I doing it all right? When you knew, like, if you had that attitude, you had no chance with that coach because he just eats you up.
Yeah.
So that's where you can find ways with a negative atmosphere to turn it positive to where you just find a way to band around each other in a positive way around some negativity. And I saw a lot of players with bad coaches actually get better because they had to grow up. They couldn't just be caught up. And so I thought that was a kind of really cool aspect I learned was in negative atmospheres, seeing players actually kind of blossom because they're able to trust themselves and only depend on themselves and that other group of guys around them that they can depend on.
It's almost like I hate to say it,
but as bad as it sounds.
Bad as it sounds, it actually is a blessing in disguise because then if you think about it, if you're trying to climb the professional ladder,
you're going to run into
some
coaches.
dudes, yeah.
Oh,
but then also like you move up to AAA and that coach is in AA, well now you don't have to worry about it. Like
but that coach may follow you. As well,
oh, really?
Where I've had a manager in high A, then you have the same manager in AA and the same manager in AAA. Oh, and then the next year he's your catching coordinator.
Yep.
And I'm not saying, I'm just using an example right now. So, I mean, at some point you have to get used to being around something you dislike and being able to still work.
You become self-reliant.
And I don't think being self-reliant is selfish by any means.
No.
If anything, I think if you can become self-reliant, you can then help others become self-reliant. And then now you have a team.
To see more short clips of The Closing Pitch, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also subscribe to Apple Podcasts and follow on Spotify to get notified on future episodes.